Did you know that a company called Blockbuster was offered by Netflix to buy them at $50 million back in 2000? Yes, I thought you should know. But of course, I know people will be asking, so what is this Blockbuster? Blockbuster was a distribution chain or a distribution company that used to sell DVDs. So kitambo kulikuwaga na ile nini, kitambo tulikuwaga wasa walikuwa wanaenda kurent DVD kwa shop. Mnaenda rent DVD ya movie, mnapewa, mnaenda kuwatch, alafu after maybe a week, 2 days, 3 days unarudisha. Then mtu mwingine pia rent aende watch arudishe hivyo. So kitambo hivyo ndo wase walikuwa na consume. So I think saizi Gen Z millennials samta relate, because I think the last store I saw, mimi niliona kwa macho, niliona back in 2008, where we used to rent those DVDs, and we used to rent the DVDs, tunaenda kuwatch the movie, then we return back maybe after a week or maybe after 2-3 days, depending on the demand of that particular movie. So Blockbuster ilikuwa store kama hiyo back in the US, na pia Netflix ilikuwa inafanya the same thing. So but Netflix ilikuwa inapata hiyo competition ilikuwa too high at that moment, and because Blockbuster ilikuwa imefungua ma chains of stores mob, ilikuwa imefungua ma branches kadhaa across the US, and Netflix being that it was just starting, ndio ikakuwa na ile position ya ikaona nyewe kitu inanilemea, siwezi kama nita survive. Then they decided to venture into a website. So they said, can we sell a movie in a website? Yeah, that was back in 2000. So they say like, okay, can we put the movie package in a website and then sell through the website? Yeah, rather than selling them physically, like kwa sawa naendea DVD. Sasa inakuwa like, because the .com era ilikuwa imeanza kukam. Unasikia vitu za .com? Hiyo ndo time yenye tulikuwa tunasikiaga .com era, the websites and stuff like that ilikuwa imeanza kuingia. So Netflix was changing with that. So Netflix when walitengeneza website hawakujua ni nini wanafanya, but wakaona tu hebu tu risk tufanye hii kitu, and then tufanye nini, tuambie wao Blockbuster kama wanaweza ibuy, waone kama wanaweza buy hii idea, because back then Netflix hata ilikuwa ina make profit. So even the CEOs of Blockbuster wacheka sana kwa hiyo board wakienda kupresent, wakisema mnataka 50 million, who are you guys to tell us we give you 50 million? Yeah, so that was 2000. Then back then unapata sasa Netflix wakaona okay fine, so hawa wamekataa kutununua, so what do we do? Let's go by just wacha tusukumane tupambane na hii hali. So now that they started renting out movies on DVDs, and not DVDs, now they started doing rental of movies online, selling movies online, until to the point of where now they came back in around 2012 or 15, wakaanza kufanya those subscription. You buy now, you subscribe per month, you pay a certain amount, then you access to a certain number of movies, vitu kama hizo. So whatever is happening right now with many streaming platforms, you just subscribe a month and then you access. So back in 2015, around 2012-2015, that is when Netflix ikaanza ku make profit. You can imagine how many years are those? Those are 15 years. Wamekuja na ki-experiment. Wana try until ilianza kuwork 15 years later ndo inawapatia. Of course ilianza kuwork around ma 2010s huko ikikuja hivyo, but after around 2015 huko ndo ilianza sasa kuwapea profits. Now they were making profits as Netflix. But looking at even how much they are worth currently Netflix is worth $358 billion. Yes, $358 billion. Na walikuwa wanataka kujiuza tu na $50 million. So you can imagine Blockbuster wangenunua hii kitu na wasonge nayo. Of course by the time ilikuwa inafika kama 2012, hizo stores zote zenye Blockbuster walikuwa nazo walikuwa wamefunga mpaka wakabaki na store moja ya kusupply ma DVD. Juu sasa watu walikuwa wamesha change narrative, wanaanza kumbe I can buy this movie on a website. Yeah. So that is how everything changed, and until to date that is how people are accessing things. Look at how Amazon grew. Look at Alibaba. Look at these many online stores that we have around, because even right now things are changing. So you are in business. What are you doing? So the only quote that this guy learned, one of the owners wa Netflix, anaitwa Randolph. One thing he learned from Blockbuster is this: if you are unwilling to disrupt yourself, there will always be someone willing to disrupt your business for you. yeah, that is the thing he learned back after ameona Blockbuster mambo imechange na yeye yake of course ukivi imekimbia ikienda nayo. So that is the initwaje, that is the gist when it of changes. Change is very hard, change is very tough. Like right now we are in a generation whereby AI, unaona hii generation imeanza saa hii inaitwa generation beta. So AI is coming up and it has come up really well, and some other bits really bad because people are generating some certain images ambazo sitaki kuongelelea hapa. Yeah, but just to say about AI, how can we embrace and work with AI? Because right now people will be like, saizi hapana tusitumie hiyo, unajua hapana ikwangi mzuri, itafanya watu sijui wakue nini, and many speculations that will be coming up. But maybe later 10 years 20 years to come ndio tutaanza kuona kumbe this thing was important. Was this important? Yeah, so guys, let's be very careful on whatever we want to whatever change that comes up with things and technology that is coming up. So we just be very careful on what to pick, and sometimes it's just good to risk bana. Usiogope, risk hizi vitu. Kwani utaishi kwa hii dunia forever ukijaribu kusema ati wacha nijiprotect hapa. Risk bana. Risk ujue hii ilikataa, hii iliwork, hii ikakataa. Okay? So all those stories, kwa nini nakuja na hizo ma stories zote mingi? I'm just trying to also just put you kwa mtaratara because of somebody who asked a question. Someone asked the question, aliuliza swali haje hapa. Aliuliza, so Wilson, what is the best camera for a low budget Netflix production? Of course, now we are talking about Netflix as a distribution platform whereby ime stand out worldwide. Yani hiyo ndo tunaijua. In as much as we have other distribution platforms, but Netflix has stood out and it has come up with some certain standards of production and distribution. Yenye, of course, everybody will want to be like, yeah, you know, I want to my movie to go on Netflix. Yeah, I'll want to distribute for Netflix. I'll want Netflix to sell my product, or maybe to get licensed by to make sure I license my movie to Netflix, or sometimes I get commissioned by Netflix to shoot a movie. Yes, it is good because they have set standards. And this guy alikuwa ameuliza low budget camera. So here we are talking about the cameras. Of course, there are those Netflix recommended cameras ambazo you can go to their website, this website, check on this website, and you find out about the Netflix recommended cameras. Utaziona. But now I'm just breaking it down on the low budget. Sasa kuna ule mkulima mdogo ambaye anaangalia, what cameras am I going to look for to be able to zenye ni affordable, ambayo sitauza shamba yote ama sitauza sana upande wa ulingo wa mali yangu ndio niweze kununua hizi kamera ama ndio niweze kwenda kuhaya. So I came up with 3 of them which are according to Netflix update on the website. They were added by 2024, end of 2024, tulikuwa na hizi cameras inside their website which they have recommended, and I will tell you why they have recommended such cameras. So number 1 camera they recommend, which is for low budget filmmakers, I can say it's called a Panasonic S1H. So mtu anauliza Panasonic S1H hiyo ni gani? So Panasonic S1H is just a small digital camera that is able to shoot with the resolution in Netflix wanataka. So I'm going to talk about the resolutions and the codecs and those files, how they come up, and how Netflix decided that they are qualifying to be part of the list. So we have Panasonic S1H. Budget yake ni how much? It's around $3,500, which is approximately 380,000 Kenya shillings. So 380, 390, depending on how the dollar is fluctuating and how the exchange rate is coming up. So that is Panasonic S1H. The other camera we call Canon EOS R5C. So Canon EOS R5C comes is approximately $4,500, which is around 490,000 Kenya shillings, which is inafika hapo, inaweza maybe fika hapo 500,000. Hizi ndio za mkulima mdogo. Okay, tafadhali ni za Netflix. Then we have another one called Sony FX3. Is FX3, not FX30. FX3. So Sony FX3, which is about $4,000 or $4,100. So this is about approximately 430 to 450,000 Kenya shillings. So those are the Netflix recommended cameras that are budget yao ni low. Yeah, low budget. Yeah, but guys, I'm not saying that you guys go buy these cameras. You can decide to rent them out depending on how long, because maybe you're not shooting every day. You're shooting for only 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 1 month. Why should you buy this, put all that investment to buy, yet you can hire it? So renting out such cameras you can get around in this country from people who rent out cameras. You can get maybe, for example, kama ni Panasonic S1H na hizi camera zote, so it range from 10,000 to around 15,000 per day. That will be the range. And even you can include some of the maybe accessories, lenses and stuff like that. So you can decide, if I'm going to spend this camera 10 days with this camera, why don't I spend 100,000 shillings on rent rather than go to buy? And then again, if I'm buying, I don't have the accessories, the batteries, the lenses, the rigs and all those stuff. Okay, so you can go for rental. And I know with rental it's very affordable, and you can, because you're not shooting every day, you can just work around that. So being that these are the cameras that I perceive low budget based on the pricing of purchase and pricing of rental, these are the low budget ones. So hizo zingine usitake kuuliza, because kuna paka Alexa, Panavision and stuff like that, but let's look at this one. So why do they recommend them? Because these cameras zinakuja na kuna kitu inaitwa, they have a capture inaitwaje, capture requirement. How do you need to capture your video? So kitu ya kwanza wanaangalia resolution. The lowest standard resolution you can deliver a movie or a content to Netflix is 4K. And this 4K, we call it the UHD 4K. The UHD, Ultra HD, that is what it means. And Ultra HD, the dimension for Ultra HD is 3840 by 2160. But of course, these cameras zina shoot up to, unapata S1H inaweza shoot hadi 6K, unapata hii R5C pia ina shoot hadi 6K pia. FX3 I think ni 4K tu hapo mwisho, na maybe 30 frames or 60 frames there. So wako na something threshold imepita ile standard yenye Netflix wanataka, wamepita hiyo threshold kidogo. So unapata kama hii ingine imeenda hadi 5K, ingine imeenda 6K, vitu kama hizo. So these cameras are in for the game for Netflix when it comes to resolution. Number 2, when you talk about codec, what is codec? So codec is in simple terms is like a digital translator for your video file, and it compresses and encodes your footage so that it's smaller in size but retains the quality. Of course, people talk about, you see, light compressed raw and uncompressed raw, and then kuna hii kitu inaitwa 422. Unaonaga those signs kwa camera, kuna mahali 422, 420, vitu kama hizo. But Netflix now recommends you have your camera shooting at light and compressed raw, or uncompressed raw, or 422. Now these cameras zenye nimetaja ziko at least hazina raw, they don't record in raw, but they have the codecs zenye zinatumia kurecord, they are inaitwa hizo interframed or intraframed 422. The codecs are 422 or ProRes. They ProRes 422. People in the house who owns cameras and people who are camera operators, I think they understand this. And I don't need to give you, it doesn't need to give you a lot of stress. You are a person and you are a producer and you don't understand this. That is why you need to hire somebody who understands cameras to be your camera operator. Asikulete kamera fulani inaitwa NXR alafu ya Sony akwambia unaona hii Sony ina shoot 4K na maybe the codecs zingine hazina then you want to do something for Netflix, and then you find yourself like having an error because hiyo haishoot haina 4:2 codec, the ProRes yake recording I record at 4:2, so the minimum is 4:2 ProRes. Okay, good. We'll talk about it some other time when I have a different camera, nitakuwa nafanya review on it. So but even this camera that I'm using, it has a ProRes 422, which is it's not RAW, but it's ProRes 422. Okay, it records at ProRes 422. Now this one leads us to the next point, which we call bit depth. So what is a bit depth? Bit depth in simple terms determines how much color detail is in your footage. Okay, so when you look at footages and videos and images in a certain frame, there is a color range, of course, because you see I'm wearing a watch, and the watch, it has a black strap. So when you look at this black strap, and of course there's another black in the background, and then there is another black of my hair, of my beard, of whatever, I think my phone, those are blacks. So these blacks have range. Hii black ya hii saa si same na hii black ya nywele. You get it or you don't get it? So that is what we call bit depth. Bit depth ni hiyo range, inafanya video inakuwa na range ya color. So of course the Netflix recommended inataka at least ukuwe na urecord at 10 bit and above. 10 bit inamaanisha utakuwa na more range of colors. Kama ulikuwa na kama hii black ulikuwa na range yake maybe for 68 million colors, you have now double of the colors in terms of range. Unaona mahali kuna gray, kuna black, kuna black hizo. So that range of color ndio huwa tunaita bit depth. So sometimes you find cameras kama hizi zina record at least most of them they record at 10 bit and above. And being that they are able to record at 10 bit, that is Netflix recommended. So some of the cameras which are high end unapata zina record from 12 bit, ingine iki record RAW, zile zina record RAW mostly they record at 16 bit and stuff like that. So 16 bit inamaanisha uko na range ya color very wide range of colors zenye una work nayo. So kama ulikuwa na 8 bit, kamera zenye ni za kitambo na zaeleza pale za hata za simu hata inakaa 6 bit. So simu haiwezi qualify hapa, but these cameras qualify because of the bit depth. And then now going to the next point is what we call the data rate. What is data rate? Data rate is the measure of how much information your camera records per second. How much information your camera records per second. So this is the megabytes, unasikia megabytes per second. So unapata ina record how many MBs per second. Netflix recommends if you're recording for 24 frames per second, you record it at a minimum of 240 Mbps per second. Okay? You record it at 240 Mbps per second. That means 1 minute file ukirecord for 1 minute uko na GB ngapi? 14 GB. Okay, uko na 14 GB. Yeah, so that is why some of these codecs, they're very high. So imagine kama hiyo, there are some of them record even up to 400 MBs per second. So which means by the time you are finishing 1 minute of that file is to 24 GB. Of 1 minute of the file is 24 GB. When you're shooting a scene, for example, it lasts for around 3 minutes. Imagine how much file size you'll be having. Yeah, so it is very important to also just make sure that when you're investing also in storage, you have very good storage when you're doing such kind of shoots. And then another thing is about the color space. So what is color space? Color space refers to the range of colors your camera can capture and display. So it's like a painter or painter's palette. So hiyo ni kama kitu nime-explain tu hapo juu about bit depth yenye iko na range of colors which are high dynamic range of colors, but also pia color space ni hizo. Sasa una shoot, for example, mtu unasikia nimeshoot video raw, ama umeshoot video na vlog. So for example Panasonic ziko na ma vlogs, unapata Canon ziko na C-logs, or Sony ziko na S-log. So those are those are color spaces and color sciences that Netflix at least ina require ushoot hivyo, ndio hata by the time una convert to Rec 709 or Rec 2020 you will have something to do with initwaje, uko na colors, you are able to recover a lot of colors from that particular image that you've done. So of course I know I'm talking a lot of jargons which most of you mnajiuliza mambo haya anasema gani, si ametuambia tu kamera na nitoshe. Yeah, you need to understand the settings. So if you have a camera operator, they need to come to this class so that they understand these cameras, how do I set them, because of course hizi settings una set kwa camera. Unaweza set camera pia, camera can shoot 4K bado ikushutie 1080, na so uzichukue yote 1080 uende we upgrade to 4K. No. So what you need to do is to understand the settings, and I think this is just a lesson for camera operators. If you want to be a camera operator, some of these things you need to know, because of course producers si wote wanajua about camera venye ita operate. Bora yeye ameenda pale kwa website ameona hii camera tunahitaji. But you see, you can have even a red camera, or you can have, let's say for example, you can have a Sony FX9 camera or a Sony Burano, and it shoots 1080, and you use that Burano to shoot at 1085. Then that 1080, how will you take it to Netflix? You can't. Utakuja utapiga kelele, you know, we used that camera stand in the Netflix required camera and we shot it. But how did you capture your video? That matters. Okay? Or you might find, like this camera that I'm using, it's not a full frame, it's a cropped sensor, and of course it has the 1080. It shoots at 4K. It has RAW, it shoots at, not RAW, it shoots at 422 10-bit, and it records at a minimum of 400 MBs per second for 24 frames per second with all eye. We call that all eye. And it records at Vlog. But it's not a Netflix recommended, because of course ikishoot hivi, it's a cropped sensor. Kuna vitu ina lose details, ina lose on the sensor. Okay? So the sensor itself, sensor yake ya hii camera ndio inaifanya isikue Netflix recommended, because full frame sensors are better than cropped sensors, and you need story for another day again. But guys, this is a lesson for camera operators, and please, these things you do them setting while doing your capture. Utaenda kufanya hizi correcting post hapana. Yeah. So last but not least is have that transfer function, whereby at least you are recording at very high dynamic range, not the SDR, you'd record it at HDR, which is the high dynamic range yenye nimesema hizo vitu ina record hapo juu za S-Log, V-Log, and the C-Log for Canons. Yeah, so having said all this is why these cameras are being recommended, and this is what works for a low budget production that is going to Netflix. Having said all this, guys, unajua sasa umesikia mabei ambayo nimekuwa nikitaja pale. Maybe you can't afford it. Don't pressure bana. If you have a story, a good story, just tell it. Kuja tu hata uniambie basi twende to shoot na camera. Let's go shoot. Let's go make a story and let people watch. We're going to shoot it at a very good quality, and it can stay for long. Of course, Netflix requires you to shoot at this standard. Ndio content yao live over a period of time. Because this is how, because ni vile tu muangalie. Compare this video and this one. So zinakaje. This is a 360p. Ilishutiwa hiyo kitambo with that 360p. So imeshindwa kulive today because I'm struggling to watch such kind of videos. But this one imeshutiwa maybe that period of time na ilikuwa imeshutiwa at 1080. I'm still enjoying to view it. So when you're shooting with this kind of resolution, it just allows your video or your content to live for a long period of time. Okay, so when you're getting people to do to be camera operators on your set, make sure these people understand what they are doing. Make sure these people have studied that particular camera, and they are able to make sure that they are recording it as per the requirements and the standards of capture. Even Netflix bado ina recommend sound. There are particular devices that you need to use for sound recording. There's a particular way you need also to edit and even deliver. So these things ni inaka a lot of work, but sumetaka. And being that now we are evolving and AI has come, so how tunajitoza kwa hii lingo tukifanya nini? How are we prepared? Okay, so to just answer the question, nimempatia the cameras and why the Netflix recommended those cameras. Okay, because there are more details in the website. You just go to this website and check about what are some of the requirements Netflix normally want for you to package your video, how you need to package your video, how you need to record your sound, and even if you're doing ADR and stuff like that. So it helps you plan ahead mapema. Si tunaamka unaenda kushoot alafu unafanya vitu madogo then unafika sasa pale unataka kuipika, kuitengeneza, kuiandaa, unashindwa utaiandaa aje because ulifanya makosa kwa field. Sasa by the time unaiandaa imeshaharibika. Don't go that direction, please. Sindio guys? So thank you so much for watching, and more details, more lessons coming up, and yeah, but don't be limited ati lazima kamera yako ikuwe hivi. Nimewaambia story is king. Just do a very nice story, record it nicely, and remember this video where I was talking about the tips that you need to understand when it comes to the tips, and also this video and this other video when I was talking about things, the essential requirements for you to begin, maybe before you begin, what you need to consider before you begin film production. So thank you so much guys, thank you for your time, thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, and all the comments that are coming in guys. Nyinyi wale wazi, and even for those people who are reaching out through this number, through the email, salute to you guys, because some of these questions pia mimi napata pale, and it subjects me to learn and also just to be exposed to understand, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be talking about, so I have to study, I have to understand, and even inanisaidia pia mimi nikienda pale kwenye field ndio nifanye hii kazi. So keep reaching out if you have any questions, and see you on to the next video.